You know that feeling when she says, "I'm not like other girls," and 6 months later, you're watching her do exactly what the last 3 did? Yeah, we need to talk about that. Look, I'm not here to sell you a course or pretend I've cracked some secret code to women. But Nietzsche understood something about human nature that most dating advice conveniently ignores because the truth makes people uncomfortable. And you're uncomfortable for a reason right now, aren't you? Good. That discomfort is information. Here's what nobody tells you. Love isn't this pure, magical thing that just happens when 2 souls connect. It's a power dynamic. It's strategy. It's biological programming wrapped in poetry and sold to you as fate. And the moment you realize this, everything changes. Nietzsche said we don't see things as they are. We see them as we are. So when she's looking at you, she's not seeing you. She's seeing what you represent. Your status, your resources, your genetics, your ability to provide excitement or security or both. And before you get defensive, men do the exact same thing. We're all running programs we didn't write. The first truth is this. Love is the ultimate form of narcissism disguised as selflessness. Think about it. You don't fall in love with someone who makes you feel bad about yourself. You fall in love with someone who reflects back a version of you that you want to be real. She doesn't love you. She loves how she feels when she's with you. The second that feeling changes, the love changes. And this is where the manipulation starts. Because once you understand that her feelings are based on states, not traits, you realize that everything is conditional. That "I'll love you forever" comes with invisible terms and conditions that nobody reads until it's too late. She loves you forever as long as you remain the person who generates those feelings. The moment you slip, the moment you show weakness at the wrong time, the contract is voided. Nietzsche talked about master and slave morality. The master creates his own values. The slave resents and inverts them. In dating, most guys operate from slave morality. They play by rules they didn't create, hoping that being good enough will earn them love. They think if they just check enough boxes, she'll choose them. Nice guy syndrome isn't about being nice, it's about covert contracts. Do these things, get that reward. She can smell that energy from a mile away. That needy, seeking approval, waiting for validation energy, and it repels her on a level she can't even articulate. Not because she's shallow, but because biologically she's wired to detect confidence and status signals. A man operating from slave morality is advertising that he sees himself as beneath her, as needing her approval to feel whole, and you can't desire what you pity. The second truth cuts deeper. She doesn't want you to understand her. She wants you to remain fascinated by her. Mystery is currency. The moment you think you figured her out is the moment she starts getting bored. This is why she'll sometimes do things that seem completely contradictory to what she said she wanted. Not because she's crazy, but because predictability is death to attraction. Men usually make the mistake of becoming completely transparent too quickly. You show all your cards. You make your interest obvious. You become available, predictable, safe. And safety might build comfort, but it doesn't build desire. This is the cruel paradox she won't tell you. She wants security and excitement, stability and spontaneity. Someone who's there for her, but doesn't need her. Good luck threading that needle. The third truth is going to make some people angry. Her love is more conditional than yours, and that's not a moral failing. It's biology. A man can love a woman who's broke, who's struggling, who's having a hard time. But if you lose your job, if you lose your status, if you become depressed and directionless, watch how fast things change. Not always, but often enough that you need to understand this dynamic. She's attracted to strength, to capability, to a man who's moving in a direction with or without her. The moment you make her your entire direction, she loses respect. Not because she's trying to be cruel, but because evolution programmed her to reproduce with men who have options, who other women want, who are capable of protecting and providing. Your desperation signals the opposite. And yes, modern life has changed. She has her own career, her own money, her own independence. But the deep programming doesn't update with the economy. The attraction triggers that worked 10,000 years ago still work now. You can't logic your way out of biology. The fourth truth is about emotional manipulation, and this is where things get uncomfortable. She's better at it than you are. Not because women are more manipulative by nature, but because they've had to be. Throughout history, women had less physical power and less social power, so they developed sophisticated emotional intelligence as a survival mechanism. Reading subtext, managing emotions, creating guilt, withdrawing affection strategically, these aren't conscious schemes, they're learned behaviors that work. You think you're having an argument about you forgetting to text back. You're actually in a much deeper negotiation about power, attention, and priority in the relationship. She's not saying what she means, because if she said what she means, you could address it directly, and that would end the emotional tension she needs to feel pursued, important, valued. The complaint is never really the complaint, and men manipulate too, just more clumsily. We withhold commitment. We keep options open. We use logic and rationality as weapons to avoid emotional responsibility. But women have been playing the emotional game on hard mode for millennia, so they're simply more skilled. Recognizing this isn't misogyny, it's pattern recognition. The fifth truth Nietzsche understood is that suffering is what we bond over, not happiness. You don't build deep connection going to brunch and having surface-level conversations. You build it in the trenches, in the difficult moments, in the times when leaving would be easier than staying. This is why trauma bonding is so powerful and so dangerous. She'll create tests without telling you they're tests. Little moments where she pulls away to see if you'll chase. Times when she's difficult to see if you'll stay patient. Moments of vulnerability to see if you'll judge her. And you'll fail some of these tests because you didn't know you were being tested. And she won't tell you that you failed. She'll just quietly update her assessment of you and you'll feel the shift without understanding why. This isn't evil, it's evaluation. She's trying to determine if you're strong enough, if you're real enough, if you'll stay when things get hard, because her biology is telling her that choosing wrong could mean survival risk for her and her potential offspring. The programming remains even when modern life has removed most of those stakes. The sixth truth is the most liberating and the most terrifying. You can't negotiate desire. Either she wants you or she doesn't. All the right words, all the perfect dates, all the emotional availability in the world won't make her desire you if the attraction isn't there. And attraction is mostly subconscious. This is why the friend zone exists. She likes you. She enjoys your company. But some crucial element is missing, and no amount of time or devotion will create it. You can't build sexual tension through friendship. You can't logic someone into wanting you. And the harder you try, the more you prove you don't understand the game. Nietzsche said, "Become who you are," not who she wants you to be, not who you think you should be, who you actually are underneath all the social conditioning and the fear and the need for approval. Because the only way out of this maze is to stop playing for her validation and start living for your own. The man who needs nothing from her is the man she can't stop thinking about. Not because he's playing games, but because he's genuinely complete without her. And that's rare. Most men are walking around with a woman-shaped hole in their chest, hoping someone will fill it. She can see that hole. She can feel the need radiating off you. And it makes her want to run. So what do you do with all this? You stop lying to yourself about what love is. You stop pretending that romance is separate from power dynamics and biological imperatives. You stop resenting her for operating according to programming she didn't choose. And you start building a life that's compelling with or without her in it. Because the uncomfortable truth that sets you free is this: she's not yours, it's just your turn. And that's not cynical. That's realistic. Everything is temporary. Every relationship ends, either in death or separation. Once you accept that, you stop clinging. You start appreciating what's here now without desperately trying to make it permanent. And, paradoxically, that's when you become most attractive.